FBI tried to escape the jail. Now, he tried to escape in police custody inside the jail by going through the ceilings. I'm talking about, buddy thought this was like some type of Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
It's the first time we ever seen this. You went and did a hit in your mama car? You really did that? When it turned the keys in here, mama? Thank you for letting me use the car. She don't even know you did a whole murder in her car.
These people think life is a game and they're going to outsmart the police. Listen, wake up call. You're not that smart. Like, you're not going to outsmart detectives and the FBI and ATF and local police.
As we dig deeper into the details surrounding the death of Hulio Foolio, it's hard to ignore how comically stupid the crew behind his murder really was. Seriously, it's like we're dealing with some of the dimmest criminals out there. Take Sean Gathright, for example, one of the shooters linked to Foolio's death. He's been called by many the dumbest killer ever, and honestly, it's not hard to see why. He wasn't just wrapped up in Foolio's murder, but remember that time Foolio got shot in the foot a few months back? There were even rumors flying around that he might need his foot amputated. Well, guess who was behind that too? Yep, Gathright.
That shit do not mind the way my toes look. I can't wash my feet. Flip it right now, but look, ain't God good? I just said don't mind my toenails. Y'all know my foot up and shot. I can't touch, like, really. I don't even supposed to be with my toes right now.
In new court documents, investigators say there's evidence linking one accused killer of Charles Jones, also known as Julio Foolio, to a previous attempt at killing him last year.
The wild part is this kid was only 17 at the time of the shooting that put Foolio's foot in danger. Now, you can see why the other suspects had beef with Foolio, but Gathwright's involvement doesn't make any sense. This kid was just a cameraman, someone who shot music videos. There's no real motive for why he was gunning for Foolio. What's even weirder is that not only did he help murder Foolio, but he also shot him in the foot, so this dude was out there hunting Foolio down for apparently no reason whatsoever.
Now, I'm not sure what Julio Foolio did to Sean Gathright. This guy wanted Julio Foolio gone so bad that he made so many mistakes.
And it's not like Gathright was rolling with any gang. He doesn't have any solid ties to the 1200 or ATK gangs. We can't even pinpoint which crew he was supposed to be with. It's a bizarre situation all around. But here's where it gets even crazier. What's dumber than getting mixed up in a beef you've got no stake in is using your mom's car to do the dirty work. Gathright took his mom's car and drove it all the way to Tampa to kill Foolio.
This might be the first time we ever seen this. You went and did a hit in your mama car? You did that? When it turned the keys in here, mama? Thank you for letting me use the car. She don't even know you did a whole murder in her car.
And you'd think if you're using your mom's car for something like this, you'd at least try to cover up the license plate, right? Wrong. This kid didn't bother to do any of that. He didn't cover the license plate. He didn't use a stolen car. Nothing. Just rolled up in his mom's car with the plates visible for everyone to see. It's like the #1 rule of being a criminal. Don't leave any trace, and he blew it right there. Here's the kicker though. What's even dumber than not covering the plates is what the cops found in his mom's car. Not only did Gathright use his mom's car for the hit, but he left shell casings from the night he shot Foolio in the foot inside the car. Those shell casings linked him directly to the shooting of Foolio's foot.
These documents also show that investigators say that one of the gunmen involved in this case was found with shell casings related to an attempt to shoot and kill Jones last October.
And if that wasn't enough, there were also shell casings in the car from another murder that happened in May 2024. This kid was just moving around the city like he was some kind of movie character, thinking he could do whatever he wanted with zero consequences.
Gathright was arrested during a traffic stop in Jacksonville, where investigators say officers found a Glock 9mm pistol, a rifle. Detectives say those spent casings matched 2 different shootings before Jones's death, a separate homicide in May, and a shooting last October in what investigators say was an attempt to kill Jones then.
It's not too far-fetched to think Gathright was maybe a hired gun, a paid shooter just going around on a spree. He had another shooting on his hands in Mississippi not too long ago too. So it seems like this kid was just going around firing shots without a care in the world. Maybe he figured since he got away with shooting Foolio in the foot and then again in another murder, he was invincible. He probably thought he was too slick to ever get caught, but it doesn't end there. Apparently, Gathright tried to pull a prison break by going through the ceiling.
Guy tried to escape the jail. Now, he tried to escape in police custody inside the jail by going through the ceilings. I'm talking about, buddy thought this was like some type of Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
But here's the thing. If you thinkGathright's actions were dumb, just wait until you hear about his fellow accomplices. They managed to take stupidity to a whole new level, and there's even talk that the killers are starting to snitch on each other. It's a total circus. But let's dive in deeper. Now, to understand just how sloppy these guys were, this is how things went down. Isaiah Chance, Alicia Andrews, Sean Gathright, Davion Murphy, and Rashad Murphy were the crew responsible for Hulio Fulio's murder, and their incompetence is almost comical. They rolled into Tampa in 2 cars, a silver Chevy Cruze and a black Chevy Impala. Isaiah and Alicia drove the Cruze, while Sean Gathright was behind the wheel of the Impala, which was registered under his mom's name. People online were losing their minds over how dumb these criminals were. One comment read, "These gotta be the world's dumbest criminals." Another one asked, "Bro must hate his mom because why would you use your mom's car to go commit a murder?" It's like these guys were trying to set a new record for criminal blunders. And honestly, it's no wonder they got caught. Tampa is full of surveillance cameras, and they were captured in high definition several times, including during the actual murder. When they hit Tampa, the crew started tracking Hulio. Foolio had announced his plans on Instagram, letting everyone know he'd be at Teaser's Gentleman's Club and Truth, 18 nightclub. Isaiah and Alicia followed him in the silver Cruze, and every move they made was captured on camera. At both clubs, Isaiah was seen using Alicia's phone, which was later confirmed by call records showing he was in contact with Sean Gathright. When they hit Tampa, the crew started tracking Hulio. Foolio had announced his plans on Instagram, letting everyone know he'd be at Teaser's Gentleman's Club and Truth, 18 nightclub. Isaiah and Alicia followed him in the silver Cruze, and every move they made was captured on camera. At both clubs, Isaiah was seen using Alicia's phone, which was later confirmed by call records showing he was in contact with Sean Gathright, who was in the Impala with Rashad and Davion. The tension mounted as the group followed Hulio to their final stop at Holmes 2 Suites. The Cruze did a couple of laps around Julio's car, giving the signal for the Impala to move in.
That club shows how 2 suspect vehicles continued to follow Jones, just as they did at Teaser's, and eventually to the Home 2 Suites near USF.
They're approaching the victim's position on foot.
Once in position, Gathright and the Murphys opened fire with a handgun and 2 rifles, killing Hulio. Julio's car sped off, but the damage was already done.
Show 3 shooters firing several shots at the vehicle Jones was riding in.
The shooters thought they had pulled off the perfect crime, but they severely underestimated modern surveillance technology. After the shooting, the gang went back to their Airbnb, which was booked from June 22nd to 24. The place had a Ring camera at the front door that captured key footage of their movements. We could see Isaiah stepping out briefly with a champagne flute, Davion carrying a bag, and the whole crew passing by the camera multiple times. Alicia was also caught on camera, wearing the same clothes from the murder. All this footage was gold for the investigators, helping them piece together what happened and identify the suspects. But the investigation didn't stop with the Airbnb footage. Detectives kept tracking Sean Gathwright's movements. About 12 hours after the murder, Gathright showed up at a family member's house dressed in all black, just like in the surveillance footage. He went inside for a couple of hours, then came back out around 6:30 p.m. While chatting on his phone, Gathright was seen cleaning the exterior and interior door handles of his car with a rag. He also moved multiple bags into the garage where a 2004 gold 4Runner was parked. Then he left in the 4Runner. That 4Runner turned out to be the group's downfall. It led the feds right to their doorstep. A few days later, Gathright was arrested while driving the 4Runner. Rumor has it that Gathright might have flipped and snitched on his accomplices because in less than a month, the cops had managed to close in on all of them. Now there's a theory floating around that Sean Gathright might have snitched on his accomplices, and it's partly based on what went down just 3 days after Hulio Fulio's murder. On June 26th, Jacksonville Sheriff's deputies spotted a gold 4Runner tearing through the streets of Jacksonville. The car had heavily tinted windows, so it was tough to see who was inside. When the unmarked patrol vehicle turned on its lights, signaling the 4Runner to pull over, the driver complied, bringing the vehicle to a stop. Little did they know, this traffic stop would be a big step towards solving Fulio's murder.
See your hands! Step on out! Step on out! Look away! Back up to the sound of my voice. Yep. Stop right there.
The driver turned out to be Sean Gathright, just 18 years old. As deputies approached, they immediately caught a whiff of marijuana coming from the car. Sean denied any involvement with marijuana, but the deputies had enough probable cause to search the vehicle. They asked Sean to step out and stand by the back of the 4Runner while they conducted a thorough search. What they found was eye-opening. In the car, they discovered a small bag with marijuana residue and mushrooms, but that was just the start. In the center console, they found a Glock 19, which is a semi-automatic pistol. The presence of the firearm was a huge red flag, but things got even more alarming when they checked the back seat. They found several bags of ammunition and parts for firearms. It was clear that Sean wasn't just an ordinary teenager. He had a serious stash of weaponry and ammo. Sean was arrested and taken to the Crime Gun Intelligence Center for questioning. The deputies hoped this arrest might lead them to more answers in the case. Although he was released, Sean was nabbed again less than 24 hours later at a Jacksonville shopping center. That same day, law enforcement received a tip that shifted the investigation into high gear. This new intel pointed to a murder conspiracy, and Sean's arrest was the key that opened up this lead. With this new information, the detectives got a search warrant and quickly moved on it. They zeroed in on a house on Jacksonville's north side, where they believed Isaiah Chance and Alicia Andrews were holed up. Detectives surrounded the place and used a PA system to call out for the occupants to surrender. They spent 15 to 20 minutes trying to get them to come out peacefully.
Coming. Stop. Stop. Turn around. Keep your hands up. Turn around. Hands up. Keep your hands up. Hands up. Keep walking. Keep walking. Keep walking. Keep walking. Now turn around. Put your hands behind your back.
Eventually, Isaiah and Alicia were taken into custody, which was a huge break in the case. Now, with 3 suspects behind bars, the investigation was starting to piece together. But there was still one more major player on the loose: Rashad Murphy. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, with help from U.S. Marshals, tracked Rashad's movements and eventually pinpointed him at the Collins Preserve apartments in the Ortega area of Jacksonville. The day after Isaiah and Alicia were arrested, SWAT units were sent to the apartments to find Murphy. They set up a perimeter around the place to keep him from escaping. Reports soon came in that Rashad was barricaded inside the apartment, holding a gun to his head and on FaceTime with his girlfriend, refusing to come out. After a tense standoff that lasted until just after midnight, Rashad finally surrendered, bringing this dramatic chapter to a close. So before all these arrests went down, the suspects were already showing how clueless they were. Take Isaiah Chance, for instance. Just a few days after Fulio's murder, while the police were scrambling for any leads or evidence, Isaiah decided it was a good idea to drop some hints on a Twitter space. He hinted at catching a big fish, like he was so smart he could speak in code and get away with it.
Don't your up. You got bigger fish to fry.
You with the fish?
No, I'm not.
I just twisted that bit so bad, bro. So I don't got no fish to fry. I done threw my big ass out there and you hear me? Come on now.
Keep talking for FBI.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. If Reddit users can figure out what you're saying, then the cops and detectives definitely can. It's like these guys were practically begging for attention, and they couldn't keep their excitement in check. Now, if you thought Isaiah was dumb, just wait until you hear about Rashad Murphy. You'd think someone in Rashad's position would be smart enough to cover their tracks, especially if they're driving from Tampa to Jacksonville after a hit. But Rashad did something that was pretty much the definition of reckless. Instead of laying low or setting up a solid alibi, Rashad put himself right in the middle of the action. How did he manage that? Well, Rashad booked an Airbnb in Tampa, which was just a mile from where Hulio was killed. And it gets even better. The Airbnb was in his name, and on his phone they found a screenshot of the confirmation with his name on it. The confirmation message even included a photo of Rashad's Florida ID, proving that he booked the place. The Airbnb was a townhouse, and the booking was from June 22nd to the 24th. This was crucial because it placed Rashad and the others in Tampa during the murder, and they were caught on camera at this Airbnb. They didn't just head back to Jacksonville right after the hit. Nope. They went back to their Tampa Airbnb and were caught on camera again, still wearing the same clothes they had on during the murder. This was all caught on a Ring camera at the front door of the Airbnb. Then there's Alicia Andrews, who, if you thought Rashad was a genius, proved you wrong. Instead of keeping a low profile, Alicia appeared in a music video with Guin just 2 weeks after the murder. In the video, they mocked Foolio's death. It's like she completely forgot she was one of the suspects in a high-profile murder case. She thought it was a good idea to celebrate Foolio's death and make a mockery out of it, all while being actively pursued by law enforcement. The irony is rich, because once Alicia got caught, she started playing the naive card, claiming she didn't really know what was going on and that she was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But come on, if you're celebrating someone's death and flaunting it in a music video, you clearly knew what was happening and didn't care. But the drama surrounding the Foolio case just keeps getting juicier. Recently, some guy decided to make waves online by claiming he was the one who actually killed Foolio. And get this, he did it for $10,000. He even said that it was young Geass who put out the bounty on Foolio.
Foolio had it coming to him, so, I don't really feel sorry, you feel me? A lot of people think that, it was on some game.
Now, I know a lot of people have been pointing fingers at young Geass, thinking he might be mixed up in this somehow, but there are plenty of folks out there who think this guy is just clout chasing, making up stories for likes and views on social media. But still, how dumb do you have to be to post a video of your face and voice and basically confess to a murder? On top of all that, Foolio's driver sat down for an interview and spilled some tea on what was going on in the lead up to Foolio's death. He talked about how Foolio was being careless, at least from his perspective, and how he wasn't really keeping his guard up like he should have. Even though Jacksonville and Tampa, Florida are just a 3-hour drive apart, they saw Tampa as a chill spot, a place to unwind, relax, and not worry about anything. They thought of it like a mini vacation, a break from all the drama back home.
Being outside of Jacksonville, being in Tampa, is that like a place where you kind of don't have to look over your shoulders?
Definitely. I definitely felt a lot safer all the time because we hadn't been up before, you feel me?
But people are now saying, if you've got that many enemies out there looking to take you out, it's probably not the smartest idea to be hanging out just a few hours away from them, acting like everything's cool. The driver also gave a pretty detailed account of what went down that night at the Holiday Inn. Well, actually next door to the Holiday Inn. He was the one behind the wheel. Foolio was riding shotgun, and there were a couple of others in the back seat. They were just sitting in the car, trying to figure out their next move, where to head to party.
Can you take us through that moment driving into the Holiday Inn, if you don't mind?
We weren't at the Holiday Inn. We was next door to it. They had like a glitch in the system or something, so they ain't let us get the room. So then he came back out to the car and we was just chilling, basically.
From the surveillance footage the cops released, you can see how the killers rolled up and got into position. It looked like they were trying to trap Foolio, setting up so that when they started shooting, they could box him in. And sure enough, when the shooting started, the car took off like a bat out of hell. Then there's this wild rumor that's been floating around about Alicia Andrews. Some folks are saying that she was at an Airbnb after party with Foolio and that she's the one who leaked the location. But according to the driver, he never saw her there, and he has no idea where that story came from. But you know how it is. People are talking, saying that even if he did see her, he probably wouldn't admit it because that would make him a snitch. But the paperwork and the investigation do say that Alicia and her boyfriend Isaiah were tailing Foolio's crew, following them from spot to spot. It doesn't mention her being part of Foolio's entourage or giving away their location, but honestly, who knows at this point? It's wild to think about how these people have been gunning for Foolio for what feels like forever. Throughout his career, Foolio had faced multiple attempts on his life. In October 2023, he was shot in the foot in Jacksonville, Florida. This happened on the 3100 block of 18th Street West, a residential neighborhood less than a mile from a school. The black Dodge Challenger he was driving was riddled with bullets. His mom took to Instagram to ask for prayers, posting, "Keep Foolio my son in y'all prayers. He was shot."
Block of West 16th Street, about a person shot. An adult male in his mid-20s transported himself to a local hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The victim sustained a single gunshot wound to the foot.
Before that, in November 2021, he was targeted again. This time, it happened on the 2000 block of Ernest Street in Riverside. Foolio made the news for shooting back in self-defense and managing to escape. Shortly after, he went live on Instagram saying, "I shot back in self-defense. My gun is registered. And if I did something illegal, the police would have put me in jail." AN did miss 100 shots though. They must have thought I was lacking for sure. Fans were used to Foolio going live after these incidents. In July 2020, after getting shot in Houston, he allegedly got hit in the buttocks and still went live on Instagram to update his fans.
I know mad I ain't dead, ain't it? Niggas mad I ain't dead on gay. We can tell about niggas, yeah.
By 2023, Foolio had already survived 3 public attempts on his life, with 2 of them leaving him injured. Fast forward to 2024, he had just turned 26 in June of 2024 and decided to celebrate by throwing a pool party. Naturally, he went on Instagram to share the location, letting his followers know where the party was at. But as the day progressed, things took a turn. According to his Instagram posts, it seems he had to switch locations to a Holiday Inn because, as one of his posts stated, the police had kicked him out of the original spot. Just hours after that update, Foolio's girlfriend went on X with a heartbreaking message. "Y'all took my boyfriend from me. I hate y'all, and I won't be the only one crying." Shortly after her post, a video clip from the Holiday Inn parking lot surfaced on social media. It was confirmed that around 4:30 in the morning in Tampa Bay, Florida, Foolio was found shot along with 3 other people. Tragically, Foolio, the 26-year-old rapper celebrating his birthday, didn't survive. After all those tries, they finally managed to get him, but luckily his are now in custody and about to go to trial. All we can do now is wait and see how this whole thing plays out.